The United States was built on the idea that all people are equal. The Constitution of the United States guarantees freedom and equality to all citizens. But for a long time, African Americans did not enjoy many of the freedoms that they were supposed to have. They were not treated equally by law or by society. African Americans' fight for their civil rights, or equal treatment under the law, goes back to the time of slavery. After the Civil War, they were granted freedom. Even so, in some states, African Americans were forced to use separate services from white citizens. It was called segregation. African Americans had to sit in separate sections of restaurants from white citizens, use separate bathrooms, and go to separate schools. The courts said segregation was legal as long as the services offered to African Americans were separate but equal. But in reality, the services were far from equal. By the 1950s, it was clear to many Americans that the situation had to change. They were determined to fight against the injustices of segregation. The stage was set for the Civil Rights Movement. African Americans organized boycotts, refusing to spend their money on the unequal segregated services. They held sit-ins, refusing to leave places that only served white citizens. They held marches and other protests to end racial discrimination. It was a long, difficult struggle, but the movement led to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a law that banned segregation and other forms of discrimination. It wasn't the end of African American struggle for equality, but it was a big step forward, a step closer to the freedom and equality guaranteed to all citizens by the Constitution.